Good morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Society of New Haven. To those of you here in the sanctuary, as well as you online via Zoom or YouTube. I am Rich Stockton, a member of the Worship Committee and your worship associate today. You can refer to me with the pronouns he and him. Some of us are bringing our best selves to this space, and some of us are bringing our struggling selves. But all of us are welcome here, and on every day, all of us are loved. We are a diverse, multi-generational faith community that inspires lives of compassion and generosity, nurtures spiritual growth, cultivates transformative connections, and creates a more just world. Do read the announcements in the order of service and also in the newsletter. Some highlights. For families with younger children in attendance, there's a space in the back, in that corner there, with some quiet activities and comfortable seating, if that works for you. But please know that all ages are warmly welcomed to this and every service at USNH. If you're visiting today and want to learn more about USNH, there's a table in the far right corner of the social hall after the service, where members of the Connection team will be available to answer your questions. Today, this year's UU Olympic Games will take place right after the worship with Reverend Stephen, and will feature all games, arts, and other opportunities to play. Now, there'll be a barbecue lunch outside, and coffee and dessert will be inside. Join us today for 1 Million Rising Resistance Gathering. That's this afternoon at 4 p.m. in the social hall. Let's stop authoritarianism through non-cooperation techniques. It's time to postcard for democracy again. Postcards will be available in the social hall to get out the vote in Virginia general elections. Waverly School supplies are still needed, so look for the collection box in the USNH lobby. And the tech team that supports us every week is looking for some new members. So please reach out to the office or one of our tech team members. Now, relax, take a deep breath. Make sure electronic devices are silent, and let's settle in for worship.
Good morning. My name is Reverend Stephen Kendrick, and I'm delighted to see so many of you out here on a summer day. UU Olympics are coming, very exciting. I was somewhat surprised that my name was being included, and then I realized that's probably because of the high jump. So, to do the opening words this morning, I'd like to tell a brief story about summer. Some great friends of ours in Farmington called us and said, you know, back in February we planned an amazing weekend for relatives at Tanglewood. 2 performances, dinner at the Red Lion, everything you could possibly want to experience in the Berkshires. But he's not recovering all that well from his knee operation, so can Liz and Stephen step in for the entire weekend? And we said, yes, we can do that. So last Sunday, Liz and I were under the shed, and 4 musicians were about to perform Beethoven's Third, the entire symphony on viola, violin, piano, and cello. So Yo-Yo Ma got up, and he sort of made a joke about why the viola guy was going to step off stage while they played a trio, because he'd been flown in from Eastern Europe and was feeling kind of tired. He still was jet-lagged. So he came back in, and Yo-Yo Ma looked at us and said, I want to say a few words. And he said, we're tired, but you know what? Playing this music, Beethoven's Third Symphony, the Heroic Symphony, he said this music makes us feel better. Prometheus came to give humans fire, and it is our job as musicians today to make sure that the flame never goes out. And I thought to myself, sitting there on that summer morning, that that's precisely what we do here each and every week. Though that the flame is always lit. The warmth of commitment, passion, comradeship, solidarity, compassion. That this is the flame that we bring again and again every Sunday. And that's, like Yo-Yo Ma, that's the promise that we make to you. And it is in that spirit that, are we all lit there? Let's bring that flame. Let's do that. And as we get ready to rise and to sing together, Morning So Fair to See, number 42, please know that we have a new tradition here, which is as we sing our opening hymn, if there is a sorrow in your heart, please come forward and you may place a shell or a stone in the water. If there is a joy, please know that you can light any of these little votives and express and share that with the life of the congregation. Number 42, Morning So Fair to See. So fair to see, night veiled in mystery, glorious the earth and resplendent skies. Pilgrims we march along, singing our joyous song, as though an earthly
Well, good morning, everyone. My name is Jesse Greist, and my pronouns are he and him. I am the coordinator of congregational life here at the Unitarian Society of New Haven, and I have something to admit. When I was a child, I really thought there was something wrong with me, because when I signed up to play children's sports, I played soccer first, and then I played baseball. There was this part of me that whenever anyone would do something noteworthy in the game, regardless of whose team they were on, I would get all excited for them. And I had to tamp that down when I'm sitting on the bench with my teammates in a baseball game and one of the other players made an outstanding defensive play, or when one of them, hit a run and I'm out there in left field and the ball wasn't coming towards me, I would be like, yes. But then I realized that that's the wrong reaction. I was supposed to only be happy when someone on my team did something right. And there was something that just felt unnatural about that to me, but the world around me was giving me a different message. Choose your team. Find out who your people are, and only be happy when they do something right. So then I found this place. And the message came in that everything that everyone does that is an effort, that is to be celebrated. That when we do something that we feel proud of, we lift it up. And when people who believe differently from us do something great, we lift them up. So here's the thing. I had these two visions of the world, the way the world is in my mind. Do I choose a team and only cheer for my team? Or do I celebrate the logros, the accomplishments of everyone? Well, then I started going to this place in Western Massachusetts called Row Camp. And they had a sporting event every year. I went there for 11 years. And during each camp session, they would hold an event called the Row Olympics. Now, Row is a Unitarian Universalist camp and conference center. And the Row Olympics were games. There was definitely a way to do well in the games and a way to not do well in the games. But something was missing. There weren't teams. Everyone was on one team. And if you did really well at the game, everyone cheered for you. And if you did horribly at the game, everyone cheered for you. And I sort of came away from that going, now this feels right. This feels like a way that I can do sport. I don't mean to take anything away from anybody who does competitive sports, because I get it. Being on a team and learning teamwork is an awesome thing. At the same time, I feel like the world could use just a little bit more Row Olympics, where we cheer on effort, where we cheer on everyone, where we cheer on success, and we lift up failure. So a few years ago, I had this idea: what if we brought that concept right here to USNH? Having learned from my forebears, today's service is about wisdom. I took the wisdom of the Row elders from the 1980s and early 1990s and brought a game here that we call the U-Olympics. We're going to have a series of games and challenges outside. There will be no teams. There will be no competition except perhaps against ourselves. But the games that are offered on the front lawn after today's service, and might I add, strategically located in shady areas, as we eat our food after today's service, I encourage all of you of every age to come and check out the games that are out there. There are some puzzles that are made up of photographs from the last year at USNH. There's a game where you get to create or it's actually an art and craft station where you're going to get to create a prayer flag or a wish flag for our memorial garden that they will be hung up out there. There's going to be an area where you can actually lift cups that have our shared values on them, using nothing but a rubber band and some string, and stack our values one on top of each other in the center of a table with love at the center. There is an obstacle course that you get to build yourself, and the obstacles are obstacles that people typically place in their own way. Worry, self-doubt, procrastination. You'll place those obstacles in your own way, and then you'll figure out a way around them. So after today's service, would you please join us out on the front lawn for the U-Olympics? Let's make it about we.
think it makes sense to follow that with our covenant, which lies at the center of how Unitarian Universalists gather in community. We are united not by a particular set of beliefs, by the promises we make about how we will be together, how we will treat each other, and how we will seek to mend relationships when we fall short of our aspirations. Each week, we recite together a brief version of our covenant. I encourage you to read the full covenant on our website. While the following words express our intentions in writing, our true covenant lives and breathes in our actions. So please join me now in reciting the words that appear in your order of service or in the chat on the live stream. We covenant together to create and nurture a culture of respect and kindness, and to engage in the spiritual and everyday practice of loving more generously. To this end, we will strive, be open, value differences, listen deeply, use kind language, speak our truths, work with conflict, seek humor and joy.
The Chinese philosopher Wu Hai said this: "Once my teacher said to me, 'Your own treasure house already contains everything you need. Why don't you use it freely instead of chasing after something outside yourself?' And from that day on, I stopped looking elsewhere. Just make use of your own treasure house according to your needs, and you will be happy. There isn't a single thing that can be grasped or rejected. When you stop thinking that things have a past or a future, or that they come and they go, in the whole universe, there won't be a single atom that is not your own treasure. All you have to do is to look inside your own self, your own soul, your own mind, and then the marvelous reality will manifest itself at all times." Sometimes it's hard for us to hear words like that, but it is always a refreshment of the soul to understand that the treasure house is within you now. It always has been, and it always will. There is not a single atom of the universe that isn't contained within your essence. And it is in that spirit, I suspect, that we gather. It is in that spirit that we are each invited at some point during the day to go silent, to just spend some time going within where everything is. Let us hold silence together. And may it be so. And I should have thought this through better, but now I invite Rich forward for the offering. Apparently the treasure house is still within you. Rich?
Well, we have so much to be grateful for, and we have so much to offer to each other. Every week, we lift up the spiritual value of generosity by asking for your offering as well as your pledging for the ministries of this congregation. You can go to our website, usnh.org, donate, or mail to our address, 700 Hartford Turnpike in Hamden, Connecticut. You may also make your offering by text using the number found in the order of service. Or if you are here, you can put your donation in a plate as our ushers pass them around. And your donations are greatly appreciated.
Thank you all for bearing with us during our technical difficulties this morning. This is what 40 years of being the music director here got us, was Linda learned how to vamp.
Thank you, ushers. Our reading this morning is called For You. It's by Walt Whitman. It's a responsive reading. I'll read the parts in regular type, and you can read the ones in italics. The sum of all known reverence I add up in you, whoever you are. All architecture is what you do to it when you look upon it. The sun and stars that float in the open air, the apple-shaped earth, and we upon it. The endless sky, and outstretching people, unspeakable joys and sorrows. The wonder everyone sees and everyone else they see, and the wonders that fill each minute of time forever. It is for you wherever you are. It is no far We consider Bibles and religions divine. I do not say they are not divine. I say they have grown out of you and may grow out of you still. Will you seek afar off? You surely come back at last in things best known to you, finding the best or as good as the best.
Down in the forest, something stirred, so faint that I scarcely heard. But the forest leapt at the sound like a good ship. Down in the forest, something stirred. It was only the note of a bird. Now in the morning of life I stand and I long for the touch of your hand. I am here at your door. Down in the forest, something stirred. It was only the note of a
Thank you, Linda. Thank you, Barbara. It's lovely to follow that. Oh, my gosh. Well, in the midst of so much cupidity, stupidity, bullying, a thick miasma of lies, we know all that. I don't think that's why you're here this morning, though. Because we know all that. I think what we're here for this morning is the refreshment of seeing each other's faces, music, and I would suggest spiritual tools to fit the times in which we find ourselves. And I'll tell you what I need. I need wisdom. All the things that I come here for, And right now I get to be standing at this marvelous pulpit, but I'm also a person that just also sits in the pews. I'm happy to be a member of 2 other congregations. And I come for wisdom. Because I need something to help me discern a forward path. I need something that gives me endurance, something that gives me encouragement and comfort and a good kick in the rear end when that's what I need. So that's why we gather. And Socrates was declared once by the Oracle of Delphi to be the wisest man in all of Greece, and he laughed. He said, I know so little. But when he was put on trial by authorities of Athens and condemned to drink hemlock, he asked the oracle to be a defense witness for him. He said, I am only too conscious that I have no claim to wisdom, either great or small. But I do know this. I am quite conscious of my ignorance. At any rate, it seems to me that I am wiser than those who proclaim great wisdom, and that I do not think that I know what I do not know. And in that deep kind of humility, he worshipped what the Greeks called Sophia, the goddess who embodied the mysterious quality of wisdom. And I search for it every day. I trust you do too. I suspect that's why you're here. And in life, just normal everyday life, and in extraordinary times like ours, it is quite easy to feel perplexed and even flummoxed. But we come for wisdom, that treasure house that I referred to in the meditation. We can intuit and know that wisdom is much more than knowledge. We all know very bright people who do the dumbest things. And we also are quite aware that human history tells us that extraordinarily educated people can do cruel things. So wisdom is a great deal more than accumulated knowledge or even experience. So what lies beyond this folly, beyond this foolishness, and beyond cruelty? I sense that we are hoping to find a way to meld love and compassion, mysteriously infuse it with wisdom's power, so it can become a lifetime reservoir of the highest good. And this sounds very highfalutin, but as I hope you remember from Socrates only 5 minutes ago, it is a deeply humble task, a path into humility. That is the goddess of discernment and reason and knowledge that is fused into empathy. Now, scientists have tried to examine wisdom, and they honestly say it's, the quote I found in an article I read was, a fuzzy zone, a fuzzy zone. In the 1990 assembly to define wisdom, they came up with 13 definitions. They couldn't agree on one. So wisdom is not easily defined. And guess what? I suspect we all know that. And that's because wisdom is much more than what we think. Wisdom is also interfused into the body. It's what our hands do. It's what our eyes do. It's where we show up and where we don't. So compassion, for me, lies at the heart of wisdom. And here's the paradox. And in the spiritual life, there's always a paradox. Because we also know that as empathetic and emotional and passionate as our emotions can be, there's also a certain wisdom that comes with patience, stepping back and assessing, being humble in that sense, of listening before you leap. A certain kind of emotional detachment, a stepping back, is sometimes the wisest course. Wisdom is fueled by knowledge, but the wisest know how little they know. Wisdom helps us do the right thing at the right time, but it also helps us know when to do nothing at all, to not interfere. So, I find it hard to define wisdom, but I hope and pray every day that I can live a life that exemplifies some vivid sense of wisdom. At the Social Neuroscience at the University of Chicago Center of Cognitive Research, they put $2 million into defining wisdom in a program fueled also by the John Templeton Foundation, to invite young neuroscientists and historians and theologians, academic researchers, to submit grant proposals. The project later awarded 23 consecutive grants to investigate wisdom. What they came up with is defined like this, these words. Some forms of wisdom probably rely on types of memory we don't even know about. In reasoning, we know how that emotion plays a major role in how we reason, and wisdom may have a lot to do with knowing when emotion is helpful and when it is not. And so ultimately, they defined wisdom as learning to frame. And in this framing, in quotes, it refers to the way that we conceptualize a problem. Quote, people are wise who can take a step back and reframe, and a lot of wisdom probably has to do with looking at a situation differently and reframing. And I would also add that wisdom is a lot about focus. And to do that, I have to tell you a story about Tolstoy. And you're in pretty good hands when you have a story from Tolstoy, entitled Two Questions, about a king who was overburdened by the tasks of state, and one day he said, you know, I would like to find the true source of wisdom. So the queen urged him to go to one of the wisest ones of the kingdom, who was a hermit. And despairing of getting other helpful advice, he went to the holy hermit who lived in the hills, and he found him digging in his garden. I have two questions, explained the king. On whom should I spend my time and focus my attention? And which affairs are the most important and should therefore be taken care of first? Well, the hermit listened in silence, and he just continued to dig his garden. And the king realized that the hermit was struggling, was very tired. He could see that. Here, he said, let me have your spade, and I will do some digging for you while you think. And so the king dug in the hermit's garden for 2 hours before asking the two questions again. But still the hermit did not answer. Instead, he took back the spade with the comment, you rest now, and I'll dig. But the king refused, and he went on digging until sundown. And then the hermit interrupted him and said, someone's running towards us. Let's see who it is. And the king turned to see a man running towards them, clutching his hands to a wound in his stomach. And as he reached the king, he fell. And the hermit and the king quickly washed and dressed the man's wound as best they could. And they laid him in a bed to try to help him heal. And exhausted after his day's work, the king also fell asleep. The next morning when he awoke, the king saw that the wounded man was up, rised, and was staring at him. "Forgive me," he begged the king. "I don't know you," the king said. "I have no reason to need to forgive you." "Well, I actually had sworn vengeance against you for executing my brother. And I followed you here to the hermit's home, and I planned to kill you. And when you didn't return for so long, I came out of my hiding place and was attacked by your bodyguards, who attacked me. I managed to escape, but I would have bled to death if you had not taken care of me. I wanted to kill you, but you saved my life. Forgive me." Quickly the king forgave the man and asked him for his forgiveness. And leaving the wounded man behind, he went back out into the garden where the hermit sat. "Will you answer my 2 questions now?" the king said. "But you already have your answers," said the hermit. "I don't understand." "Well, yesterday, you had compassion for my weariness, and you stayed here to help me dig my garden. And if you had gone straight home, our friend here would have attacked you. So the most important task was to show compassion. And later, when the man appeared here with his wound, it was time for you to care for him and to bind the wounds and for you to forgive each other. And had you not done so, he would have died. He never would have been able to make his peace with you. And at that moment, he was the most important person, and caring for him was your most important task. And so the answer to your question is this: there is ever only one important time, and that's now. And the most important person is the one who stands before you now. Fate gives us one opportunity at a time. The person I am with now, and the task that lies immediately before me. These are always the most important things. This is the most important thing because the past is gone, and therefore the future may never happen, and the present is the only reality. We talked about Sophia, the Greek word for wisdom. In the Hebrew, the word for wisdom is chokach. It's suggested as the combination of your mind with your heart. A theologian describes it as that they are marbled together. Abraham Heschel said, "When I was young, I admired clever people. Now that I'm old, I admire kind people." What's the most important question? Who stands before you now? What is the most important thing to do? Is to stand in that moment. So I don't have a definition of wisdom. All I know is this: that's the way it works. In the immediacy of a moment that presents itself, to do 2 seemingly contradictory things at once. And yes, it may take a lifetime and a lot of practice to be able to do it. But you need to be able to step back and try, imperfectly, but try to assess the totality of a situation and then act. to will as much of your ego and self-interest and to remove it as best as possible so that at the very same time you may invest your heart and your mind in a moment of empathy. That's agape. That's a definition of love. And I've quoted this from the pulpit before, but I can't honestly quote it too often, and I end here. Stephen Mitchell, the poet, was raised Jewish and then became Buddhist, but really he's just a universal poet. And he translated Psalm 90, and I find it just unutterably poignant. And I guess it goes as deep into this realm, the mystery of wisdom, as I can go. Mitchell writes, "Teach us how short our time is. Let us know this in the depths of our souls. Show us that all things are transient, as insubstantial as dreams, and that after a heaven and an earth have vanished, there is only love. And fill us in the morning with this wisdom. Shine through the rest of our lives. Let our hearts grow transparent in the radiance of this love. Show us how precious each day is. Teach us to be fully here, and let the work of our hands prosper for our little while." If I have to say this entire sermon in one sentence, here it is. The heart of wisdom is the wisdom of the heart, the wisdom of our hands and mind. Go in peace. Amen. Hymn 159. This is my song, 159. Please rise. This is my song, I love all the nations. As Rich comes forward, please recite with me the words in your order service. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Now may peace which passes all understanding keep your hearts and minds in the knowledge of love, and may this peace be yours in the week to come and throughout the U Olympics. Go in peace, and thank you, Linda. Thank you so much.
Please join us on the front lawn for the Olympics. You can come out these doors down here or out the main doors.